Bala appears the president. The president must wake up and respect the Constitution. Yuri Kim outlines her 3 priorities and missions in Albania. The Prime Minister of Kosovo makes a quick visit to Tirana before heading off to Morina. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 10th of February, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Socialist Party Secretary General Talvand Balla ruled again out early elections today. As soon as the Congress convened for the SP presidency, which focused on the organizational issues of this party, Balla commented, "At the party Congress, we will adopt an agenda of the SP's political activity. This year, the agenda ends on June 30th, 2021, the deadline for us to hold parliamentary elections. For the municipalities that were left without mayors, he again appealed to Meta to wake up and respect the Constitution. The president has been and remains in disregard of his constitutional duties. The prefects of the districts were informed about the vacancy created. The president must begin respecting the Constitution." When asked by Ora News what is happening to Shkodra and why the SP has not been able to elect a branch president, Balla replied, "From the party structures, we have received a number of candidacies representing worthy people from Shkodra in our party structure. We are currently discussing this matter and soon we will have elected an SP leader." The EU ambassador to our country, Luigi Soreca, has issued a press conference today. During his speech, Soreca also mentioned the new EU enlargement methodology. This methodology was presented last week by the European Commission. Soreca said he regretted the fact that European Commission's October summit failed to open negotiations. He said that through the new enlargement methodology, trust between the EU and the Western Balkans should be restored. "We all know that the European Commission summit in October did not bring about the opening of negotiations. The EC has tried to understand why this has happened and to find causes and make the process more predictable. Through this methodology, we need to redevelop trust between the EU and the Western Balkan states. With the new methodology, EU leaders will have one debate per year on the performance of the Western Balkan countries." According to Soreca, the new methodology would make the process more predictable. Another important element is that the EU will engage with many member states in monitoring progress, making the process more predictable. "We will look at all the detailed criteria and conditions that every aspirant country must fulfill. The process will be more dynamic and different chapters will be created." Soreca also stated that the EU could suspend negotiations if there are steps behind it. There is a call for member states to return after the negotiation process should there be any steps back. So the EU could suspend negotiations if needed. The new methodology meets all of the requirements of all member states, especially those who were skeptical of opening negotiations. Asked about the anti-Kuchaka package, Soreca said that the laws showed political readiness, but its implementation is very important. "I think that this law shows political willingness to tackle the problem, but its implementation is very important. The implementation must be done by applying 2 conditions. The first is that the fundamental right of the accused must be fully respected, and the second is to conduct this operation. The SPAC must confirm the actions taken by the police and forward the case to the court as we are monitoring this process." A few days after taking office as U.S. ambassador to Tirana, Yuri Kim has outlined 3 priorities and missions in Albania. "First, I will work to deepen our defense relations so that Albania becomes a stronger and more capable ally. Secondly, I will continue to promote Albania's democratic development to support your EU membership efforts. Albania's European aspirations and the reforms they seek will bring more prosperity and sustainability to you and the region. Third, I will work to boost U.S. exports and investments in Albania in order to create more jobs and opportunities for Americans and Albanians," the ambassador stated in a video on Twitter. The so-called flower path today has become more like a road of garbage, where the debris clay pits have taken place of once blooming flowers. A lack of containers, streetlights, and drinking water has forced residents to seek attention from the municipality, which seems to have forgotten it as a neighborhood of Tirana. The former flower path in Shkoza has been left at the mercy of fate. the lack of containers making the area almost a landfill. The trash is dumped here all over the place because there are no bins around. Remains were planted instead of flowers, but even though family members complained to City Hall, they received a silent response. They've neglected us, and Uncle Enver has left us as well, just like these other politicians. Who are we to complain to now? I have myself submitted the request 3 times to the municipality. We will come, they said, but no one showed up in the end. Veliai, this Superman is the most treacherous and is the only a showman. Old folks with their children even show up outside, but no one has yet to come our way. They say they pay taxes on a regular basis and expect urgent investments as they make their daily lives more difficult. When it rains, it gets really muddy, so that's so much it's difficult to pass through. Minister of Health Ogerta Manastirliu has admitted that 5 cases of coronavirus has been suspected in Albania, but thankfully they have turned out to be negative. While reporting to the Parliamentary Health Commission on the flu situation in the country, the minister stressed that our country was not affected by the Chinese virus. She stated that Albania has taken all measures to prevent possible cases that may come from abroad based on World Health Organization recommendations and other health protocols. So far, there have been 5 suspected cases of the coronavirus with a travel history with China, tested within 8 hours by the IPH Virology Lab. Manastirliu said that our country is at risk of respiratory diseases, which in recent weeks have increased by 23%, but stressed that there is no room for panic as the situation is under control. The expectation of respiratory infections has increased by 23%, so we have a very high percentage this week. There is a spread across the country compared to the 4th week of this year. There are 3 viruses in circulation, AH1, AH3, and B. The minister said that in order to prevent seasonal viruses, timely vaccinations were carried out for 80,000 citizens, mainly the chronically ill, pregnant women, children 2 to 5 years old, and medical personnel, while 4 health centers were open providing 24-hour service. The day before arriving to our country, the agenda of the visit of the Prime Minister of Kosovo, Albin Kurti, to Tirana has been revealed. During his first visit as Prime Minister, also his first visit outside of Kosovo, Kurti predicted meetings with Rama, Ruchi, Meta, Velia, and Basha. We also have a joint press conference with Rama. Kurti's stay will last only a half a day and is expected to return to Kosovo at 12:40 as he departs tomorrow from Morina. The visit was announced by Kurti during an interview with the Voice of America. I intend to visit Tirana next week and hold meetings with institutional leaders there, with Prime Minister Rama, President Meta, Speaker Ruchi, and the opposition leader Basha, and discuss these situations together. I am not against regional cooperation initiatives, but there must be the principle of reciprocity, and while the Republic of Albania knows our southern and western neighbors well, it is the Republic of Kosovo that knows our eastern and northern neighbors better, and in this aspect we can be complementary, Albin Kurti said. Finally, problems that concern Albanians are in the focus of TV Ora journalists in central and local government institutions. Unlike the others, the municipality of Tirana does not respond to resolving the concerns that residents have, but rather to film or photograph journalists. One question directed at a Tirana municipal police officer was all it took for the boom journalist to suddenly be surrounded by some policemen filming and photographing a mall. It all happened after a car with 4 City Hall police officers stopped the man in the Medresea neighborhood, seizing a bag of bananas the man was attempting to sell to a passerby. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for tuning in to our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.